And I feel like black companies, ブラック企業, play a big role in that. Because when you're working all day and you're exhausted, you come home, you have no energy, you have less sex, and you'll let the baby. And it's really, in a nutshell, it plays a big role in Japan's declining birth.
Welcome to Late Night in Japan. We're Steph, Mike, and Tate, three Japanese guys with rich overseas experiences. In this podcast, we dive into real-life stories, the highs and lows, and the quirks of living in Japan. If you're curious about Japanese culture and what life here is really like, you're in the right place. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. Good evening, gentlemen. Gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening. So in today's episode, we'll be diving into Black Kigyo. And people who are living outside of Japan, you might not be familiar with this, but if you've worked or currently considering working in Japan, you might have heard of Black Kigyo. By the way, the word Kigyo means company, so the direct translation is black company. But in today's episode, we will be calling it Black Kigyo, just for the sake of it. So, guys, what's your take on Black Kigyo? Steph, do you want to start off?
Sure. In my terms, I think it means just working in a bad environment. And by bad, I mean you have to prioritize work over private life. Long hours is the norm. There's all kinds of harassment within the workplace. And also, like, you feel uncomfortable leaving early. Like I said earlier, long hours is the norm. So, it's hard to leave early. It's hard to leave at 5 o'clock and clock out. That's the kind of environment I think Black Kigyo is.
I see.
True.
Sounds like my workplace.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
I didn't mean that, but
yeah, I'm just kidding. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, just to kind of add on to Steph, I would say, bad working environment, long hours, but not just long hours, but long hours without pay. So, for example, a company could force their employees to work extended hours overtime, but they won't pay them overtime. Or they'll make them come to the office on weekends, but they won't pay them additional money. So at least for me, I work at a major Japanese corporation, and so I wouldn't say everyone gets to go home early. I do see people working till like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. on weekends. Well, not on weekends, but weekdays. However, we are paid for every single minute of overtime. So in my eyes, that's not a buraku kigyo. Like some people may disagree, but as long as you're getting paid, I think that's not a buraku kigyo. But yeah, there are many companies in Japan that will make you work crazy hours and they won't even pay you adequately.
Good points. Yeah, so the definition for buraku kigyo depends on how you capture the working environment. So there's no exact definition. For Black Kigyo, nothing really, stated officially in the dictionary, if my research is correct. So just like Mike and Steph mentioned, basically anything that violates the labor law is considered a characteristic of Black Kigyo. So now regarding those traits, I have a question for you guys. So as I mentioned before, there's no exact definition for Buraku Kigyo, but what do you think was the most answered factor or moment to the question, what moments/factors you feel your company was a Black Kigyo? By the way, this question is based on surveys answered by workers who've worked at Buraku Kigyo or are currently working at one.
I would say just long hours, like extensive hours.
Without payment?
With or without payment, depending on the person. Even if they are paid, they might just working long hours itself is just not worth it. They might view that as a characteristic for Buraku Kigyo. So I would just stick with long hours.
Nice, seriously. How about you, Steph?
You said moments, so maybe harassment whenever.
Oh, good point.
I see.
I feel like female workers would
Yeah, harassment.
encounter that way more.
I see. So, the answer is, drumroll, please. Turnover rates, 離職率.
Oh, okay. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so when your colleagues are quitting a lot, you might as well consider changing your job because you're working in a black Kigyo. Well, yeah, jokes aside, I guess while you're working, you feel something is odd, but you finally realize you're working in a black Kigyo when people start quitting. To avoid those situations, are there like any tips when checking on the Japanese company for its whiteness?
Whiteness.
I don't know if that's the correct
How
term,
white it is.
but in Japan,
You gotta clarify what
the
that means.
black Kigyo is white Kigyo, so that's why I said whiteness.
Yeah. I guess just do your research. At least when I was looking for job companies to apply to, I know the US has Glassdoor where people can, write reviews for the company they work at. Japan also has similar thing called open work.
Oh yeah.
So subscribe to that and get the real data, what people are actually working there are saying. And you can check, the overtime, how many on average, how many hours people work overtime per month, what the pay is, things like that. So do your research is what advice I would give.
So like use tools like open work and maybe ask somebody who's working in.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Good points. What about you, Steph?
Well, I was about to say the same thing as Mike. So I got caught off guard. But to add on, I think it's best to actually meet the people within the company. And there's also applications that you can use to do that, like Bizurichi and Hatcher. Those are two apps that I actually used when I was job hunting. And it connects you with people that are actually working in the company. And you can ask them whatever you want. They'll probably answer you with their real opinions, not what the HR wants to advise. And so I think, as Mike said, try to hear the actual voices of people who are working in the company. I think that's an important thing to remember.
I see.
Wait. Bizurichi, they have services like that? I thought they only like you get messages from headhunters or people from HR. I didn't know they connected you with
They
people.
do.
Wow, I gotta look into that.
Isn't that
Yeah,
for
you
like university students? Bizurichi campus?
I used it when I was in universities. Yes.
Okay, so it might be different.
Mhm.
It's like we're sponsored by Bizurichi or Open Work.
No, we're not. But they're actually pretty good services that I suggest looking into.
Are you sure that isn't Enkare? Encourage.
What's encourage?
It's like basically what Steph explained. It connects you to people who within the company and stuff. I think I could be wrong.
So I guess there are a lot of tools to, kind of investigate what kind of investigate inside the company you want to go. And like Steph and Mike mentioned, it's, before you enter any company, it's good to know what kind of company it is. And even if you get into a black Kigyo, like since we're open-minded to, changing jobs, don't be afraid to quit.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you have to use Taishoku Daiko.
Please check that episode.
Yeah, we dive deep into what Taishoku Daiko is. So if you're unfamiliar with the term, please check.
That was a good one. So, to wrap this episode up, if you want to live a happy corporate life or enrich your work-life balance in Japan, it's good to understand the concept of black Kigyo and the characteristics we've discussed in today's show.
Yeah, and on a side note, to kind of add to that, Japan has a lot of issues. One of them being low birth rate. People having less and less babies. And I feel like black companies, Buraku Kigyo, play a big role in that. Because when you're working all day and you're exhausted, you come home, you have no energy, you have less sex, and less baby. And it's really, in a nutshell, it plays a big role in Japan's declining birth. So I just wanted to mention that.
Well, for more contents like this, please like and subscribe. And we'll be waiting for more interaction with you guys. I guess that's it for the show. See you next time. Sayonara.
Bye.
Bye bye.